ever wondered why some business people are more successful than others? Welcome to the Mentor List, a source of sound advice with your host, David Lewis. The Mentor List specialises in interviews with top business minds. Listen to their stories, list their habits, and most importantly, gather their advice for your career. This is the Mentor List.
Hi, today on the show we have Bonnie Power. She's living the dream, a great business with a great team serving fabulous clients. As the CEO of Perfect Boom, Bonnie helps individuals and business owners build up their personal brands and leverage them to attract more clients and opportunities. Having new inquiries on tap is Bonnie's idea of heaven. With 10 years of experience in building up personal brands of CEOs and senior execs, whilst also running a successful online business, Bonnie is a well-known expert in this space. Bonnie is living proof that you can live life on your own terms, a great life, a great business that helps produce great results for clients. A true example of choosing yourself and taking charge of your own destiny. Enjoy the show. Okay, so here with Bonnie Power, and we're here in an office in Melbourne, and you might hear some construction noises going on because we're right near a big construction site. So hopefully the guy with the jackhammer doesn't get that out for the next 40 minutes. So Bonnie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks, Dave.
My pleasure. Thanks for coming in. So wanted to, first up, just get your story if you want to share that with the listeners.
Yeah, sure. So I guess my story started back when I was, 27, thinking about what am I going to do for the rest of my life. I was wanting to have kids, wanting to move into that next phase of my life. But I didn't want to be not working, through having those kids. I wanted to always bring in that income and use my brain. So I guess, what I did is I actually wrote out a list, like if I could have the perfect sort of a day, like what type of clients would I be working for and with, like how would I help them? What skills have I got that my ideal type of client would value? And then how do I sort of want to do that? So for me, the criteria was like I wanted to work from home. I didn't necessarily want to be traveling too much. I wanted to be able to speak to clients when I wanted to speak to them, not for them just to be ringing in randomly.
Yep.
So I sort of created this sort of criteria about what I wanted in my ideal world.
What was the driver for this? So, why are you suddenly thinking about this sort of stuff?
Yeah, well, I never felt quite contented working for, a big corporation, and I was never really one to sort of fit in and follow the rules of a big corporation. So
yeah.
I always wanted to do it my way. And so I sort of struggled, through my, when my 20s, working for someone, working under their rules, lots of bureaucracy, doing things a certain way because that's the way it had always been done. I believe in doing things the most effective way possible with getting the best results, and really customer service and getting a good result for your clients is the number one focus, and everything else is just white noise.
Great.
So I just really, wanted to create a really good business, but I didn't know what it was and I didn't know who it would be for. But they're all the little details that sort of will sort themselves out. And they did. So
yeah, that comes up a lot actually, having a feeling that something's coming or that you're passionate about something but not being able to isolate or articulate what it is or where your next step is. So do you want to talk through how you've gone through that? Yeah.
I still go through it. Okay. It's just amazing, because you're always evolving and developing and you're always chasing new big dreams and that sort of thing. So, and I think for me, a lot of people actually stop and they actually don't chase their dreams because they can't articulate exactly what they are. So they just don't try. And I think that's a really big mistake. Mm-hmm. I think if you feel like you want to do something, start making little steps towards that goal, doing things like maybe one thing every day that is going to help you to end up, achieving what you want to achieve. And I think all the little finer details actually become clearer the more steps you take towards achieving your goal. There's a really good analogy actually. There's this, I think it was like this Chinese proverb, but it's this guy, like they're walking up this big spiral lighthouse in the dark, and how the stairs go around and around and around. And the thing is that they've only got a candle, so they've got this candle, and they don't really know, like they know where they need to go, but they can't exactly see where it is they need to go. They don't know the details. But all they know is that when they take a step towards their goal, towards achieving, getting to the top of the lighthouse, the first step becomes clear because the candle's there and they can see that first step.
Right.
So they take that step and then the next step appears and becomes evident and they know exactly what they need to do.
I like it.
So, yeah. And it's like, and that's why if you just start taking action towards your goal, the next obvious step will appear.
I like it. So even if you don't know where you're sort of heading, you can still see the next step and eventually you'll get to the top of the lighthouse.
That's exactly right.
So what sort of things are you doing? So I think you mentioned you're in HR, you're in a corporate environment, you're 27.
Yeah.
I think babies were either a thought or on the way or something.
I was really maternal. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'd been working in recruitment, and back then it was like, recruiters had a reputation for being sort of these, like callous people, and we just, fitted people into jobs just to get the commission. And it was really like, I didn't really want to do that. Like my heart was for, the candidates, and I really wanted to make sure the candidates were making the right choices in their career. And I was more about, let's put you into a job that you really love.
So are you in the actual recruitment industry or are you in industry recruiting?
I was a recruitment consultant.
Placing people in
Placing
roles.
people like EAs, PAs, that sort of thing. And my job was like literally just to fill positions because that's how I got paid. But I didn't really like the whole industry. It went against my grain, against my values, because I was sort of influenced by my superiors to push people into these roles because the client was going to be happy with them. But it's clearly not what was good for the candidate.
Yeah, sure.
So then I thought, well, what about if I be a career coach? And I didn't really understand that. So at the start, but just by going and writing this criteria of the ideal type of role would include this and it would include that, and it would have all these little details. It became clear that, okay, I need to go out and study career consulting, and that's what I did. And so, and then I thought, well, the only way I'm going to be able to sort of work from home is, I guess, if I look into this website thing. So I, got a website up, and I just said, okay, I can help people with job interview training, resume writing, career coaching.
So you're doing this while you're still in your...
Yeah, I was working part-time as a teacher at the TAFEs.
But you've moved out, so I'm just trying to catch the timeline. So you've moved out of the recruitment.
I moved out of recruitment because I thought, the values of this industry, not with mine. They're not congruent with my values. So I'm quitting this industry. And then I thought I might go into teaching, because I sort of went back to, I was a teacher before, like, adult learning teacher.
Yep.
And I was working part-time in that. And I really enjoyed that, but just never fulfilled, like with the whole bureaucracy of a TAFE system, for example. Like there was so much that I could have done, but I couldn't because, it wasn't in the regulation. So I clearly knew I was not going to work for a big organisation. I really wanted to do my own thing.
Yep.
Yeah, I put up a website, and I added content that was really helpful, teaching people how to make good decisions with their careers, how to write good resumes, how to put their best foot forward in job interviews. And I just basically laid it all out on my website. And then I said, if you're interested in getting help with this is my contact phone number. And it took me 3 months before I got my first inquiry.
Wow. Great.
But I did a little dance around the lounge room when I had my 3-year-old on my hip at that stage, and I thought, I now have a business.
Fantastic. Okay, so you've got your first client or first phone call.
It was the first inquiry. Yeah, it did actually. I got because I think I was so incredibly cheap back then, because I just wanted to secure my first client.
Yeah, and test the model.
Of course. Great. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so the website's up. You've got your first client. So this is a couple of years back, I presume, and now we're running. How many staff did you say? Well,
fast forward 9 years later, and now I've got. It actually became a great business, and I always. Continually study, like the whole continual and never-ending improvement methodology. I always wanted a better business. So it was about working on the business, working on systems, making sure that the clients were happy, making sure that we were producing a really good result for our clients. And that just sort of grew. And now I've got 9 writers who they write we ended up, resume writing was out of all of the different services that I initially offered, resume writing was the clear winner. Like that was like 9 out of 10 inquiries were from that. So I sort of tweaked.
So you've got a list of products which are kind of in that looking for a new job or helping you make the next move, and people are self-selecting into the resume writing. I hate writing my own resume. So I can see why people would be attracted to that.
About yourself.
It is. It's almost un-Australian to sort of say people think it's un-Australian to say the great things that you've done. It just feels a bit unnatural.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to tell us about, resume writing and how that sort of took off?
Yeah, well, I guess like for the, most of the listeners are interested in perhaps, looking down the track of maybe opening up their own business maybe one day. So I think, just with that said, like when you're initially going out there, maybe it's a good idea just to have a list of products and services that you can offer, like a list of your services, because you don't know which one your market really wants.
Yeah.
So then that's what I did. And I was helping mums return to work, which I thought, I can clearly help with that because that's like what I do. But it was really interesting because all I got was the management level and the senior managers level and then the CEOs. And so that sort of market started to sort of take over. And so I became a really good resume writer for senior executives and CEOs.
Right,
so then that's another little lesson. It's sort of like sometimes you think that your market is X, Y, or Z, but actually it's A, B, and C. You just never can tell, and you don't know until you take that first step.
Right. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So resume writing was clearly the winner. And then I just became an expert with resume writing. Like I sort of doubled down.
Yep.
And I went and did a gold, got this gold certified award for international, resume writing.
Fantastic.
And just making sure that I was the best in my craft. Because I think, we've got to really stand out. And the best way to stand out as a business owner is to offer the best service, and the best type of product and service.
So is there I know you've got almost a lifestyle of learning into developing, the perfect resume. Is there a formula you follow or
with writing a good resume?
At a high level, like how do you
Absolutely.
So can you just share maybe the general equation of what that should look like?
Yeah. All right, listeners, get your notepads out. Okay. The best resumes will be targeted to the types of jobs that you want to go for. So if you're looking at stepping up in your career, going to that next level, and you just sort of want to maybe try, going into maybe a management role or a senior management role, whatever it is, or more of a specialist role, have a look on the job boards. So there's Seek, there's all the online, there's, we're going into the organisations with the career website pages.
Yep.
And have a look at the keywords that they're asking for. So print off maybe 5 job ads that you think, I would love to be able to do that. And I think that, if you've got 80% of the skills that they're asking for, apply for it. So what you want to do with a resume is you want to target it for those jobs. So you highlight the keywords. So say there's like 10 key things you're looking for in each of the roles. And there's going to be similarities between all those job ads. And you focus the resume, and so everything that you're talking about on your resume is proving that you've got success in demonstrating those skill sets.
Okay.
And that's the targeted resume.
Yeah.
So that when the person who's looking at the resume is reading it, they're thinking, wow, all of the key things that I'm asking for, she's got or he's got.
Yeah.
And then you try and provide examples of like a project that proved that you've got that particular capability or that particular, if it's a soft skill like leadership skill or project management skill, you talk about the scope of the projects or the size of the projects so that people can get a feeling, a visual of just how much scope of experience you've got.
Sure. And okay, is this through the whole resume that you're sort of tailoring? So, talking to, I assume, are we looking at a summary and then experience? So we sort of 3 pages or 1 page? Is there a one size fits all, or are we still tailoring even those elements?
I reckon 3 to 4 pages. 3 pages if you've got sort of 10 years of experience, 15. If you've got 15 years of experience plus, then maybe 4 pages.
Yeah.
And there's lots of examples on the Melbourne Resumes website, just of different roles. But the key thing is that I think the last 2 or 3 positions. Like usually people stay in a role for about 3 years.
Okay.
So the last 3 or 4 positions, you should have information, like specifically the last 2, because that's your most recent.
Do you find that's getting quicker though? So 3 years of people, do you find that people are now churning through roles a bit quicker?
Yeah, and it's good.
Yeah,
they should.
I've experienced that too, especially in the corporate environment. It's almost like 18 months is the new 3 years now. And so updating your resume is almost, well, it's not every 3 years now. You're sort of bringing it to almost an annual thing.
Yeah.
So, Bonnie, how do you see that affecting, roles in general in the corporate environment? Because I know we're chatting about this, well, not just corporate, but roles generally. How do you see that they've changed and are changing, and where are we sort of heading?
Yeah. I think most people are spending between just 18 months and 3 years in the role now. And I think because the way that the world of work is changing so rapidly, like big corporations are reluctant to employ loads of people now because I suppose employment law in Australia is pretty tough. So they're wherever they can, they're hiring people on contracts. And what that means is that that gives them more flexibility as an organisation. But what that means for everybody, for us as the people who are going for these contracts, is that you really need to be mindful about your whole career and think about where you are now and where you want to be in, say, 5 to 10 years' time. So, it is okay to change every 18 months to 2 years, but as long as you are on a path that's logical and you're moving forward towards the direction of your goal. And so and the goal can change. So just, and you might not know the goal. We're talking about this just before. Like sometimes you don't know what you want to be when you grow up.
Yeah.
So that's okay. But just think, well, I actually am really, really, really good with people. I love managing people. I love dealing with people. Or I really love inventing stuff or love fixing stuff.
Yep.
So become a specialist in that, like start moving towards that and start becoming better and better and better in that area. So, and in that way, you are just going to get more and more valuable to all of the employers that you'll work with over the years. And you'll be able to carve out a really good reputation on the job market as being an expert or being, an up and rising star, and you'll become known for having particular skill sets.
Yeah.
And you, as the sort of the CEO of your own empire, your own business, you are in charge of building up your key strengths, building up your base, your professional development, really promoting and positioning yourself on the market and keeping your contacts up, it's so important. And this is where LinkedIn can really help. You have a nice, good profile photo. You have your summary that shows what you're good at, shows what you're passionate about, shows what you enjoy doing, and shows the type of clients that you like working with. And then your employment section of your LinkedIn profile talks about the achievements and the wonderful things you've done with clients to really help them achieve their goals. And, grab those testimonials, get as many recommendations from your clients and your colleagues over the years. You should have maybe 3 recommendations per employment. So
these are on LinkedIn, or they're in the resume?
On LinkedIn, because people are going to look at your LinkedIn profile after they get your resume.
Yes.
And people get approached. So it's like someone saying, I'm interested in finding a really good IT guy who has got, this particular type of experience. They'll do a search on LinkedIn. And if they see you've got like 10 recommendations and you're passionate about what you do, you've got a good photo, you look like you're human, then you're going to get approached for jobs that aren't necessarily advertised on Seek.
Yeah, sure.
So, it's about being in charge of your career and taking your whole life by the reins and really setting yourself up for success.
So funny.
Maybe you can use it in your...
Yeah, I was trying to remember a quote that I heard the other day, which was, work for 50 years, retire at 50, but that maths doesn't work, but retire at 50% of the money you need. But anyway, what I'm trying to get to is, so this is challenging, I guess, the traditional thought of, job for life or career for life in one industry. And that's really impacting, I guess, how people should plan their careers and subsequently build their resumes out.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what a lot of smart people are doing is that they've got this really nice, cushy job working for the large organisation, and they're building a little business on the side, like a little consulting type of service where they are building up their personal brand, and they are talking and building up a network of people, and they are getting their feelers out for what they could do as the next step.
Yeah, sure. And I guess, traditionally it used to be that, you come into an organisation and you go up the ranks, but now I guess hiring people are looking for that breadth. So they want someone that's done something completely different and it's got more breadth as opposed to just that linear sort of promoted path at the top.
Yeah. Whatever your key strengths are, you've got to promote them.
Yeah.
So.
And that sort of, we sort of touched on LinkedIn, and there's some jobs that are only offered exclusively now on LinkedIn. So do you want to talk about how that's impacted, I guess, a resume writing business? And I guess, to your point before, being open to what the customer wants and how LinkedIn sort of, is it driving services into that area, or what are you finding in your business? Yeah,
well, for mid-level managers and specialists, people all the way up to senior managers, we're offering LinkedIn with a resume, and we've done that for the last 5 years. And now it's almost mandatory with our packages, because if anybody's like, because we help professional services, like anyone who is like a white collar worker, they need a LinkedIn profile, because the first thing that people do when they look at your resume is they go, oh, this guy looks interesting, and they'll Google your name. Mm-hmm. They'll Google the name, and they'll see what comes up. Yeah, images maybe. That's what's on Facebook. Always the images from Facebook. Yeah, they're the first things that people look at, and then they'll look at the LinkedIn profile. Yeah, and that's where it's like they'll look at, because they want to look at the photo and they want to look at the recommendations and they want to look at the summary, because it's all like the whole LinkedIn profile it's like, because it's a social network, it can be a little bit more conversational, so people can start to see your actual personality through what you're doing. So. Yeah. And what about photo? Because I had my photo professionally taken, and I've just learnt that there's so much more to a photo than just a snap. It's like this whole strategy went into it. So how much teeth would you like to show? Apparently showing teeth, they can show aggression or a smile or the posture of your hands and all this body language stuff. And I was like, oh my God, there's so much more to this. I know. Apparently if you show teeth, you become more trustworthy. Oh, okay. Well, I should have showed my teeth. That's what I've heard. And I think the most important thing is the feeling that someone gets when they're actually looking at your photo. Right. So if it's a fake smile, if you've been told by a photographer to smile, you're going to generate a different type of a smile than if your partner's taken it or your kid's taken it. And I reckon sometimes some of the best photos are of when your family members have taken it, where you're just having the most warm smile because you love them so much, and that's coming through to the lens. And then people see it on LinkedIn, they go, oh, God, it looks so approachable and friendly, and rather than just that stiff smile, Yeah, no, that's, I could see how that could happen, absolutely. All right, great. So thanks, Bonnie. So might get into some of the more structured questions now, and just, what advice would you have for yourself 10, 5, 15 years ago, and what is it and when did you do you want to share that with the listeners? Yeah. So I would say, you can be whatever you want to be. You just need to set your mind to it and go for it. And I would probably tell myself that you don't actually need to know exactly what it looks like, as we talked about with that lighthouse thing. Yep. Just start moving in the direction and don't wait around, don't procrastinate, just go for it, go for gold. Yeah. You mentioned before something about, polishing this profile, because it can be a pathway, to help you get moving and get noticed and open up opportunities. And if I was like 27 today, I would be saying to myself, get a great network of people where people are looking out for your next gig, basically, and using online, like, for example, your LinkedIn. Some people have even got their own websites for this, but you can just use your LinkedIn profile to really build out and show the world what you've got to offer. Like some of our contract writers with Melbourne Resumes, they are super, super smart. Like what they're working for Melbourne Resumes as resume writers, but that's only like 1 in 5 contracts that they've got. Yep. They're working for another 3 or 4 organisations, and they've put their hand up to help them with their writing or whatever. They might offer other things besides writing. So, come like December when it's really quiet and nobody is looking for a job, our work dries up for them. But they don't necessarily lose a lot of wage because we're only 20% of their income. So then they'll just make more time for the other.
Yeah, it's often so being laid off as a contractor is often a lot quicker and probably a bit more blunt than a permanent employee if you're working in corporates, etc. And that's often what scares people away from contracting, even though it's more lucrative. It's sort of seen as the safer play to go the permanent option. But that's a good way to sort of diversify that risk if you're spread across 5 sort of streams of work and income.
And that's what's known as a portfolio career as well, because you don't have to be doing the same thing for every client. We'll call them clients. So you're a contractor, you've got 5 clients, or you could classify them as employees, but we should call them clients. And part of your job, your 6th job is to generate leads, to be going out creating new business opportunities, going to networking events, putting your hand up for different things, so that when one of those contracts does dry up, you've got another 2 or 3 who are interested in interviewing you for another position.
Yeah, great. No, it makes sense. And it's sort of consistent with what you were talking about before around, companies now with a preference to hire contractors. And so we're kind of moving towards that model.
Absolutely.
From a hire and a supplier of labour.
Yeah.
Really interesting. So next question, just around habits. So do you have any habits that you think have help with your journey and your success?
When I decided that I was going to get really super serious, I actually stopped, drinking red wine while I was eating dinner, like 5 nights a week.
Got it. Okay.
So now I only do it 3.
And what did that? So why are you doing that? What's
my head needed to be super clear.
Right. Okay.
So, and I started going to the gym, not because I wanted to lose weight, but because I wanted to have my body in peak condition so that I could be a high performer with my business. Yeah. Because it's all related. Yeah. I get up at 4:30 every morning. Sometimes I sleep in till 4:45.
So is this a morning ritual or routine, or what's happening at 4:30?
I get up, and because I've got my young kids, I find that I get the big things done in my day. You know how they talk about the big rocks in your day, you do them first. I do my big thing that I want to get done for the day at 4:30.
Right.
So if all else fails, I've at least done my big thing for the day.
Yep.
And that's really, really awesome. Like, just to be able to do that. It means I get into bed a little bit earlier, but it's something that, you hear about all these successful people getting up at 4:30 in the morning.
Yep.
And for years I was thinking, God's sake, how can you get up at 4:30 in the morning?
Yeah.
But when you actually start doing it, it's good and you feel great and you get lots done.
Okay, great. So, thanks for that. And I think it's often sort of overlooked when people say, I'm going to the gym, and gyms always advertise, come here and you'll look good. But it's mental. It's like a keystone habit that kind of, ripples into all these. Like, you eat better, you sleep better. It's just the benefits around.
Yeah, getting enough sleep is a big one.
Yeah, especially with kids, as you'd know.
Oh, yeah.
So just a quote, if you want to share a quote with the listeners, one of your own or one you want to reference.
I was thinking about this just before I came in today. I hate that quote. You can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
And so now I've got a new quote. Whoever said you can't have your cake and eat it too wasn't hungry enough.
Right, got it. I like it.
Because you can. Yep. You just organise your life to feel what's important to you, write your criteria of the perfect world, the perfect day, and make it happen.
Yeah. And so you're a living example of this with your criteria that you're talking or you're writing down. You wanted to be able to work from home, so and that sort of guided you into these businesses that you're almost designing your lifestyle. In your head.
And type of clients I want to work with. Like, I don't work just with anyone. I've got a criteria on the type of clients I work with.
Right.
And anyone who doesn't fit that is like, you know, like I'll give it a little bit of room. But yeah, it's like I don't have to help everyone because it's my business.
Yeah, sure. And you're in control. And that was another thing you were mentioning. Yeah, you wanted to be your own master of your own destiny.
Absolutely.
Great. Okay, so thanks for the quote. And yeah, a book. Do you have a book you'd recommend that the listeners pick up and have a read?
Yes. So if the listeners are interested in aspiring to be awesome in their life and do great things,
we all are.
Yes, then you will probably have like a million things on your to-do list, and you'll probably have a sense of overwhelm if you've got so many projects on and you've got so many ideas. So one of the best books that I've read to help this is called The One Thing.
I've heard about this. So do you want to tell us?
Super easy to read. It'll take a couple of hours, by Gary Keller. He wrote a book that makes your brain just go back to thinking, goes back to your objective and your goal for the day or for the week or for the quarter. And it's like, what is the one thing that I could do today that's going to provide the most effective result so that I achieve my goal?
Right, okay. So it's kind of result outcome driven, and it's just simple, and it's one thing.
All the time. And because it changes all the time, like sometimes like there might be an awesome opportunity that now it's like, my one thing is to do this.
Yeah.
So the one thing, it's the one thing I can be doing this hour that's going to give me the best result and help me achieve the greatest outcome.
Yep. Sure. Aspiring to be awesome. I like that. So that should be everyone listening in. So yeah, just for the people that are aspiring to be awesome and they're listening in and they're resonating with what you're saying and they're thinking about dusting off that resume that they haven't touched in maybe the last 12 months, or just want to get some more insights from your site, how do they contact you and who should contact you? And do you want to maybe quickly run through that criteria you mentioned of who your ideal client is? Maybe they're out there listening.
Yeah. My ideal client with Melbourne Resumes is to really attract people who are motivated to go to that next level in their career, or, who are, really high caliber candidates who they want to explore the job market and they need a professional resume. So melbourneresumes.com.au is the website. And if you think that you're like, have a look at the templates on that website. They're really good. They show you the structure of a really good, effective resume that gets the attention of the recruiters and the hiring managers. But if you want us to have a look at your current resume and we can provide a free quote, there's a button on there saying like get quote, and we'll actually give you some professional feedback about what your current resume is doing really, really well. But also we always offer 2 or 3 points of what it's missing. And then we provide a quote. So
great. Okay, so we can load that up directly on the site. And
it's like a get quote button on the top right-hand corner of the page.
Fantastic. So I'll put some links to that on the webpage on thementalist.com. So jump online and take a look at that, and also take a look at some other episodes. I also have the show notes up there as well for people if they're listening. But thanks for coming on today. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
So those that are interested checking out Melbourne Resumes, let them know that you've heard about them on The Mentalist, and they'll definitely look after you. And tune in next week for another great show.
Thank you for listening to The Mentor List with your host, David Lewis. If you like what you're hearing on The Mentor List, the best way to support the show is to take just a few seconds to leave a rating and comment over on iTunes. You can also find further information about this show and links to further episodes at www.mentorlist.com.au. Until next time, this is The Mentor List.